Thank you for joining. We're going to get started in just a moment. Excited to have you here and get into the high holiday spirit with everyone. Thank you for being super on time. And you can be cameras on or cameras off, up to you. And Ari, it's nice to see you, but not see you again this afternoon. Great, lots of folks coming in. Hello, welcome. While folks are joining, if you want to get started, Rin, if you want to throw into the chat our first chat question, just to get everybody thinking in a high holiday mood, you're invited to share in the chat your favorite high holiday tradition. No wrong answers. Denise, one of my favorites too. Tashli. Round halot, another personal favorite. Thank you, Ari. Yes, I think honey food. I think food is always going to be. It is a Jewish event after all. What would it be if we didn't have a mild obsession with food in pretty much everything? I am fully on board. Amazing, Kol Nidre. I think it's such a visceral service. I love these. Amazing. Let me give everybody just another moment or two to join, and then we'll get started. During Elul, it's great, Zamira. We're starting Sunday, so you're in the right headspace. Great. Let's go ahead and get us started. Welcome, everybody. My name is Rebecca Missel, and I am the Director of Partnerships and Content here at Haggadot.com, of which High Holidays at Home is a project. And I'm joined here this afternoon by Rin Silverstein, our community manager, and they will be helping run tech and will help with some of the presentation in a little while. We are also delighted to have here this afternoon our partners from One Table, Johnny Christopherson, Customer Success Manager, I got it, for Powered by One Table, who we'll introduce in a little bit, and Danny Kohanzadeh, who is on the Field and Partnerships team. So thank you both for being here. We're delighted to have you. So I'd like, before we dive in, to just sort of invite everybody to sort of be here now kind of a thing, to drop in. And I wanted just to all of us to sort of take a deep breath together as we think about leaving 5782 behind. We're about to cross the threshold into Elul, and right behind that into 5783. And we're just so delighted to have you here as we think about what it means to host high holidays this year in possibly a hybrid way, possibly an in-person or online, and all the amalgamations thereof. So High Holidays at Home is part of Haggadot.com, which invites every Jewish person, regardless of their background, to find a place for themselves in the Passover, and I would say broader Jewish story, so that they can create more personal, meaningful, and connective seders and other holiday gatherings. You're going to see in a little bit our easy-to-use bookmaking technology. If you're familiar with Haggadot.com, this will be a super easy transition, but essentially High Holidays at Home is all customized for the high holidays. So you'll see only content really related, everything we like to say from Elul through the end of Tishrei. We have what you need. And if there's something more that you want, you have the ability to create, and Rin will show us how to do that in a little while. Still getting the hang of, nope, there we go. Haggadot.com and highholidaysathome.com are both projects of our nonprofit organization called Custom and Craft Jewish Rituals. We are a design lab for the Jewish community, experimenting with technology, media, and video to imagine new formats for engaging with ancient traditions, which is a lot of what we're going to talk about this afternoon. And we are a 501c3, and so we always appreciate donations. That helps really keep our tech up to date and keeps all of these services accessible for everybody. So what are we going to talk about today? First, we're going to dive into sort of why gather and what it means to be a great host, which I know all of you coming from your organizations probably have a lot that you've already learned about that. So we're going to crowdsource some of that knowledge together. We'll get into how you can use High Holidays at Home, both to host your gathering and then to customize it with rituals that complement the event. We'll have plenty of time for Q&A, and then we'll get a personal story about hosting and sort of really what the essence of hosting is from our partners at the One Table Field team. So whether whether your gathering is for 2 people or 20 people or 200 people, we really like the idea always of starting with why, right? And that why and that sort of real sense of a purpose can help you have a successful, meaningful, and engaging event. So, why are you really gathering? Is this, because then once you have that sense of that purpose, and this comes from Priya Parker's book, The Art of Gathering, some of these sort of framings, having a purpose that is specific, meaning that it's not just general, right? So it's specific to this holiday, this time, this year, that it's unique. It's not just a generic sort of, oh, well, we're going to have Shabbat dinner or we're going to have a Sukkot gathering, and that it's defensible. If somebody sort of pushes back at you and asks you, well, why this, that you have some sort of an answer for that. And getting that sense of purpose can help drive every other decision, including who's coming to the gathering, how you'll gather, what you're going to eat at that gathering, how you want people to feel when they're there together, and what you'll do together in this time and space. And I think this part's really important, and I think really digs into that specific and unique aspect. We will never gather in this way with this group of people ever again. Even if we're all together, God willing, again at this, for Rosh Hashanah next year, we are not the same people year to year. And so how do you really lift up this moment and make that feel special? So I'm curious, I'm actually going to stop sharing for a second so we can see the chat more easily, or that I can. I'm curious what some folks, why some folks are excited to gather this year, or what your purpose is as you're thinking about gathering this holiday season. I'll also say we're not a huge group, so if you prefer just to talk it out instead of put it in the chat, I think we are contained enough that we can allow for unmuting. So Michelle shares about reconnecting, celebrating what we've been through and what we want to become 100%. And I think really making space for that sense of lost time and just loss in general that so many of us have felt in the last few years, I think it's important to honor that. Being in community, right? We're not gathering alone, especially a lot of us had to gather alone for the last couple of years. So, right. So what does it look like to be really in community with others this year? Amazing. So I think another piece of it for me, share, is about what it means to be a great host. In a moment, I'm going to put a link in the chat for our Jamboard, and you can hop into there as we sort of brainstorm together what it means to be a great host. Hold on, chat. There. And thinking about, and again, a lot of this comes in part from Priya Parker, the idea of setting a temporary world, right? That you're setting new rules for this, again, this moment that will never happen again, both before the event and then as the event begins. The idea of giving people a role, especially kids, leaving room for vulnerability, right? So I think that's a lot of what we talked about with that sense of, with that was mentioned with Seth about the sense of needing to make up for lost time, that vulnerability, that moment of meaning making, and accepting that there's an end, right? That every gathering has a beginning, a middle, and an end, which is something that Johnny is going to talk about in his presentation a little bit. But I'm going to actually share the Jamboard so that we can see. And if folks, I guess maybe we'll do a quick show of hands. Are folks familiar with use of Jamboard? I want to, nope, that did not work. Yes, hands, more or less. I'm seeing general nods and thumbs up. Great. I feel like we've all been Jewish and community professionals in the last couple of years, but I am happy to still do a quick demo. Give me 1 second so that I can share this. Are people seeing that, or are people seeing the presentation?
We can see the Jamboard.
Great, thank you. Great. So all you need to do to jump into this, so once you have this link open, you just click on this sticky note and you can change the color, which is my personal favorite thing. And you can add in whatever note you want that you think about in terms of being a great host. So to me, I've really, in the last couple of years, really embraced snacks. Like, I was not a huge snacks evangelist before, but I've really become one now. So we're going to give everybody just a few moments to, share what it is that you've thought has been important about becoming a host in the last couple of years, particularly as we're moving between virtual and in-person spaces. So I like that flow and timing. Yes. It doesn't have to be perfect. Thank you. Yes, breaking away from perfection. Yes, the Jamboard will be shared along with the recording. So what we'll do after this, after the webinar, we will post a recording to our blog. We will email a link to that and to the Jamboard to everybody who registered. Oh, I'm curious. Who wrote I'm curious about the trying to anticipate people's needs. Feel free to, again, to come off of mute if you want. I'm curious sort of what that means for you in terms of how you go about that anticipation.
That was me, Samantha. Hi.
I know that voice.
Yeah, I like to think about where people are coming from. If it's the end of the day, are they going to be wanting to have a time for eating? Are they in the middle of a work day? Like, are there kids involved? Are they going to need snacks right away? Just like generally trying to get in their head spaces of where they're going to be coming from and going to, and how I could best support them.
Amazing. Anybody else want to chime in on what they put into their sticky notes? I'm especially curious about folks' best practices around that hybrid in-person and Zoom, that challenge of holding both spaces at once. Bathroom labeling and bio break time, so important. I think that's a lot. We talked about accessibility, it can mean a lot of different things. It can, in terms of language. Ooh, the pivot plan. Particularly, I think I love pivot plan. I don't know about your all's lives. I know for me, I'm constantly seeing, friends coming, somebody comes down with COVID at the last minute. And like, that is an extremely real possibility that we all will face this high holiday season, right? And so how do we kind of have those backup ideas? Tech instructions, I love, these are great. These are really, yeah, I'm gonna +1 what Johnny said in the chat. Yeah, amazing suggestions. Anybody else? Does anybody else want to come off mute to talk about what they put in there? possibly whoever talked about permission to come as they are with hopes and fears.
I can jump in. I didn't write this one, but I really like whoever wrote It Doesn't Have to Be Perfect. I think that one is a perfect example of this because really people try to do the most to be the great host and they try to make everything as perfect as possible, but things are going to happen at times. It doesn't have to be perfect. The key to being a great host is being able to pivot and being able to just have a good experience with everybody. So whoever wrote that, I just really love that one.
I like that. We have not yet figured out how to +1 on people's Jamboards, but maybe maybe we should tell Google that they should come up with a way to +1. And if anybody knows how to do that, I think Padlet allows you to +1 on things in terms of other creative brainstorming spaces. I love these. Amazing. So yeah, I think all of these things are really, they're all intuitive as we've come in, to these last 2 years, but I think especially now, as we're sort of tentatively crawling forward into something vaguely resembling life as we once knew it, I think the care in a host is even more important now than maybe it was before. That, yeah, small, low key and small is great. I love that, right? Like it can be, 1,000 person, gathering in the sanctuary might not be for everybody right now, right? And I think that's a lot of what we're thinking about and what we want to open up conversation about as we go through this afternoon is really, yeah, what does it mean to have small and low key, and like what are the options that we have for that? Amazing. I'm going to stop sharing the Jamboard for 1 second, and I am going to throw it over to Rin to do a demo. Before I do, I'm going to remember to formally introduce Johnny. So Johnny Christopherson is the customer success manager for Powered by One Table. Though he's from Long Island, he has been living in Colorado Springs since November 2021. And outside of work, Johnny is an avid reader and movie lover, and his main goal is just to help customers get the most out of their Powered by software. And we're delighted to have that software as part of our High Holidays at Home site this year and as part of our work going forward. And I'm going to, with that, throw it over to Rin, our community manager here, who's going to take you through a site demo.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Rin. I am the community manager, as Rebecca said, for haggadot.com and highholidaysathome.com. And I am going to share my screen so that I can do a demo for you all. All right. Okay, so this is highholidaysathome.com. It may look similar in some ways to haggadot.com, and that's great. So if you do have experience on haggadot.com, oh, just so I know, is everyone able to see and hear me okay still? Great. Okay, great. Thank you. If you have experience working on haggadot.com, this should be a pretty easy transition for you. But I'm going to still show you a little bit about how the site works, how the technology works. Probably the most obvious place to get started is the little words that say get started right on the homepage. You can click on that. That will bring up a way to make your own booklet. You can put in a title. So if I were to make Elul Blessings booklet, then I could select my topic. I could put Elul Blessings, choose a template. Again, Elul Blessings. You'll get more variation depending on what you choose for topics and templates. I can invite a collaborator by putting in their email address. And I can choose whether or not to share with community, which means that other people can access the clips that you post or the booklets that you post to the site, or to say not now and to keep that private for just me. So I'll click out of that for now. You can also watch a very quick intro video here, which I won't show now, but feel free to watch that on your own time. That's also me doing that demo. You can also, as I said, start with a template. You can do that here. You can browse our clip library. So the way to do that is to click on Browse Clip Library. That will pop up. You will be able to search things like, well, let me first actually show you how to filter by clip. So you can filter by clip type. So if you're looking for, say, apples and honey blessings, you can select that. We have many options. You just click apply here. It will take a moment to load, and you have 15 different results. So we can scroll down and see we have a lot of different types of cool things here. Right now you're seeing the ability to edit. You will not see this ability to edit on your own login because I'm the admin, so that's just me. But you can also, if we clear that search, we can also say if you want to search for Elul up here, you can do that too. That will pull up about 30 different results. This is, yeah, it's pretty straightforward way to go about doing your High Holidays at Home booklet creation. You can also alternatively download any booklet from our site. So let's see, you can look at all of these different ones. So the featured booklets we have right now are on Elul and Rosh Hashanah primarily because it's that season. So we have all of these different booklets available for you. I'm going to go to edit for now just to show you what that interface looks like. So this, again, you won't be able to edit our booklets, but this will look like, you know, with your own booklet, you'll be able to do this. So this is sort of what the editing interface looks like. Actually, let me show a different one so that I can show you how to edit one that's got different clips. So let me show you this one. Great. So this one's a Rosh Hashanah favorites booklet. There's a lot of different clips that make up the booklet. So you can feel free to insert a clip if you want to edit, to add something. Again, to your own booklet, you would just insert clip and you can pull from any one of these clips. I'm gonna X out of this just because that's done. And yeah, so this is basically how you would do it. It looks like this when you're working through that interface. And then when you're done, you can download. And what that looks like is you hit download and this screen will pop up. It's a donation request, or not necessarily a request, but we do rely on your support. 100% of your donation goes to maintaining our site, as Rebecca said earlier. So please, if you do have the availability and the accessibility, please donate to maintain this free resource, especially if you're using our site a lot over the high holidays. But if you're not able to, that's also fine. You can click download and you can download something in either booklet or portrait form in Word doc and PDF. So let's say we want portrait, so you can download as a PDF or as a Word doc, and that will pop up that way. All right, I think, Rebecca, is there anything you want to add?
Do you want to show folks how to make a clip?
Yes. All right, sure. So let me go to add your own clips. Perfect. Yeah. So let's click on that. So you title your clip, say, I'll do one I've already done. So blessing or animals. So for Rosh Chodesh Elul is the new year for the animals. So that might be a good one. The clip type is a blessing. So find an Elul blessing, categorized clip. We don't have to do this. This can help, kind of label your clip if it's got a really particular angle to it. But this one doesn't necessarily, I don't think there's a category for animals, so we'll leave it blank for now. Although maybe environment, we could do that. And then topic, we would put Elul blessings. And then you can, again, make it private or public. So we would just say create clip. I'm not going to click that right now because I've already created this clip, but that's what you would do. Actually, well, I can delete it later.
Show it and then,
yeah.
I would also say, just to clarify for folks, like a clip is an individual piece of content, so that all the booklets are made up of these individual clips that you can modify.
Yes, thank you. Exactly. So here we would have, you have your little typing interface here. I can just put lorem ipsum here for now, but you can put anything you want. And you can put in the clip source here. So if you're pulling it from somewhere else, you would put, say, blessings booklet from so-and-so, right? And you would just put that. You can also categorize it. Yeah, as I said, under that, you could do that there if you didn't do it earlier. And then you could just put save to booklet if you're saving it to a booklet, or just save if you're saving it as just a clip.
I would say also you can, if you want to show just really quickly how to make it an image or a video.
Yes. Perfect. So we can add media here. So we have the ability to add an image. You can choose file. So let me see if I've got something here. illustrations. Perfect. So I will just choose this for now, Yiddish Valentine's. I'll upload this. See if this will load for me. Sometimes it takes a minute. Great. And you can tell it's successful because there's a little, it's right on top of that part of the screen. So you can see that that worked. And then you would, say whatever it is, Yiddish Valentine's, any text that you want to put in there, and then you would press either save to booklet or just save clip.
And I'll just say, usually, sometimes I would always recommend any kind of image that you have to put in some text. The system will require you to do that, and it might get a little wonky if you don't.
Yes, absolutely. Alternatively, you can add media, you can add an audio link to Spotify, you can add probably a SoundCloud link, I believe. And then you would just press upload with that. I don't recommend doing it in the same clip as you do an image necessarily. Those should probably be separate clips. But you can also, as you see here, you can also add videos, you can add a YouTube. You don't have to add the embed link. You just link the direct link that you would use to go onto YouTube and play that video. Okay, I believe that's it for me. I'm just going to stop sharing for a second, and I am going to kick it over to Johnny now, who will be talking about how to create events.
Thank you so much, Rin. Yeah, so I am going to be talking about creating events on here. I'm going to share my screen. And the nice thing is, before you even create an event on the highholidaysathome.com, you can look for events right here, find events, and it's going to just take you to the page to be able to see everything. But then if you want to create your own event, which I definitely recommend doing, you would go to your dashboard. And I probably should ask this, but do you guys see my screen, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I would have said something if not.
Perfect. I'm like, I don't want to just be talking for no reason. And then we're going to go to host an event. And it takes a little time sometimes when I'm sharing my screen, so I already have it up right here. And when you do host an event, it's going to bring you to this create event platform. You have a couple different ways you can do your event here, and it gives you the little prompts on the bottom as well. So if it's open, anyone can attend at all. It's just setting up on the website, and then people can just click on it and attend. Host approval means that they can RSVP to reserve a spot, but then whoever the host is has to actually look and approve that. Invite only is exactly what it sounds like. You're inviting them to it. And then solo is doing an event on your own by yourself. This you would not be inviting anybody to. Once you actually have which type of event you're going to do, you want to pick the gathering type. We have a couple different ones. We have in-person, indoors, outdoors, virtual. For right now, I'll just kind of show you the difference. If I do in-person, you're going to be still filling all this stuff out, but you're going to have to put an address in. While if I do virtual, it's changing it to a virtual location. So let's just pick a random event right now. I'll pick virtual, taking place in. The holiday is going to be Rosh Hashanah. And then I'll just put in, why not, Colorado Springs or Colorado. Just put all this in here. Type of event here. So this is going to be kind of just giving a little bit more. So for Rosh Hashanah, is this going to be a celebration, a conversation, families with children? Whatever it might be, we're going to put that in here. And then again, if it is virtual, you're going to be putting that virtual Zoom link in here. I'll just put Zoom for now. Well, we have a couple of pre-made photos here, but you can upload your own as well. What I definitely recommend when it comes to any kind of photo is just something to grab the attention of a potential guest. It doesn't really have to give too much information on there of what the event is, because we have a description in there. So you don't want to be filling this up with too much text, since this is really supposed to just be a photo to kind of grab someone's attention. Event name, just I guess Rosh Hashanah test. Why not? You can choose how many seats you want, like we were talking about before. You can have as little as 2 seats, or you can have 50 seats, whatever it might be. Then you're going to want to choose your date here and the time it starts. If you wanted to, you can add your own co-host on here. So let's say that Rebecca and I are doing this together. I can add her onto this so that she's also going to be getting that notification of people that RSVP. If she wants to change anything, she has that potential with being a co-host. And then also for security reasons, you can choose if you want that guest list hidden from everybody else, or if you want it to be accessible so that people can see who's already been RSVP to the event. But again, that is more or less a security feature. It's up to however you want to do it for your own event. Description, we do require description on here of at least 150 characters. For right now, I'm not going to write something out, but I'm just going to copy and paste this right here. But this area right here is really trying to give you all of the information that you want when it comes to your event. This is where you want to really talk about if you have an agenda. I know it says it starts at 7, but maybe food goes out at 7:30. Maybe there is conversation going on at 8:30, whatever it might be, you want to put that in here. If you feel like there's any extra details, you can always throw it in here as well if it doesn't have to do exactly with the description.
Sometimes
put
for events, I'll just say real quick, just sometimes folks put like bios for speakers in there if you're doing any kind of webinar kind of a thing. That seems to be the popular usage of extra details. Sorry.
No, that's perfect. Yeah, no, thank you. Event tags, this is just so that you can kind of filter when you're searching for different tags, different events. So you can kind of put whatever you want in here. They have some already pre-made here. But if you wanted to add in whatever else for whatever, let's just say prayer, we can put that in here and that can be a event tag. Dress code, if you wanted to have a dress code, you definitely can. Sometimes people just leave it at all. If you want it to be more black tie, casual, whatever it might be, you'll want to change that. This shows up here, the closed captioning videos, because I'm on virtual. This is just, again, for accessibility purposes. But if we were to change this to in-person, and I'll just put 123 Street. That sounds like a real place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in Colorado, but we're going to do it at Alaska time. Then it's going to change, and now it's going to ask if there's parking available and if it's wheelchair accessible, as well as any kind of dietary restrictions and alcohol policy, because now this is an event that is in person. And then you can also provide, if you wanted to, this is an optional step, you can actually say what the meal is going to be. You can, add in different appetizers, main course, dessert. That's, again, accessibility reasoning. If you were to do some type of event and there might be people with allergies, maybe you want to put that in. Or you can even do a potluck and, request certain items for people to bring for you. The last part in here is asking guest questions. This is another optional step. If you decide to ask any questions to your guest, they have to answer it. So that might mean, what does Rosh Hashanah mean to you? Or, how do you feel about doing this event at this time? Whatever it might be, you can add these questions. It could be multiple questions in here. And then once that is all filled out here,
can we just do one other thing, Johnny? Can you just scroll down real quick under event details, please, to just the link to High Holiday resource? No, up back a little bit. Sorry. I'll just say real quick here, this is particular for our site, I think a bit more. If there's something, if you want your guests to have a preview of either a Rosh Hashanah Seder or some sort of very basic Sukkot blessings, you can use whatever booklet that you made based on, as Rin showed you, you can put a link to that there so that everybody coming to the event knows what to expect with that, or especially if it's virtual, that they have a link to it and they can easily access it.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, thank you so much. I totally missed that. Yeah, so right in here. Once everything is filled out, and you'll know if it's filled out appropriately or not, because if you hit submit for approval, it will tell you you're missing something. So let's hit submit. I think I filled everything out. Up invalid. Oh, because I'm on potluck. All right, let me put back on providing the meal.
Oh no. Is there a way to take donations? We don't have that now, but it's a really great suggestion for a future feature, and I'll make a note about it. Right now, we're only able to process donations for our site, but I think it's something that you can put always in your event description about to invite people to link to a site where they can make donations.
Mm-hmm. And I just had to change it back to virtual because that's how I had originally started with the Zoom in there. But it is now, I set it for approval. So now it is pending approval on the back end for Rebecca or Rin or whoever to look at and make sure it's appropriate. And then they will be able to make it active for people to start signing up. And when that happens, you'll see it in the events page like we were showing before.
Thanks, John.
And I'm going to send this back over to Rebecca.
Actually, I'm going to keep it with you because we're going to talk about best practices in engagement.
Oh, hey, everyone. This is best practices in engagement. Well, actually, if you don't mind, Rebecca, you have a
slide. Do you want me to
slide if you want to put that up?
Sure. I'll
I
present
won't be
my
sharing my
slide
screen
again.
this time.
Great. Okay, so we won't do this. Hold on. Trying to still learn how to share a Canvas slide while having it in present mode. Nope, haven't learned that yet. Great.
It's confusing. I tried it earlier today.
So we're going to talk through three key moments in the process of an event. So what happens before the event, what happens during the event, and then how we continue to engage people after the event. It's a really great question, Hannah. I'm gonna put a pin in that, and we'll come back to it because I know it's a bigger question. But I'm going to let Johnny do this part, and then we will save that for the Q&A. Sound good?
Perfect.
Great. And I'll put the Jamboard link back into the chat, and I'll stop sharing this. Great. And I can reshare the Jamboard.
Perfect. So as Rebecca was just saying, I have a couple of different tips here for engagement, and it's before, during, and after the event. I will say some of your tips that you guys put already into the hosting Jamboard is great. I think there was some really interesting stuff. So I might actually skip some stuff since you already kind of are pros with that. But before the event, one thing, I have a few things you want to do for engagement. The first thing that you want to do, and I kind of showed this a little bit with the event, is have a clear agenda. Give specific details. If you are somebody that likes to have dinner at 7 o'clock on the dot, make sure you actually write that in there. If you are more flexible and it's going to be between 7 and 8 o'clock, write that as well, because then people might want to show up a little bit later to your event. And that's totally fine because people's agendas and people's personalities are totally different. So whatever is best for you. Another thing that you want to do when it comes to engagement before the event is just talk about accessibility. You want to try to be as inclusive as possible. Provide any accessibility information if there is any ramps, handles, if there's parking spots, even things like if people have any kind of sensory issues with lighting, if there's a strobe light going on, or if it's going to be dim lights with candles, maybe that's also an issue. So make sure we try to make it as accessible as you can. Visual design, catchy title, that really goes into picking a photo that is appropriate for the event, and then having a title that is going to be something to really grab somebody. So instead of just saying, Rosh Hashanah dinner, try to change it up a little bit to make it, Rosh Hashanah dinner in the mountains of Colorado, whatever it might be. Try to make it a little bit more enticing for people where it's going to really grab their attention. Another thing that I think is really strong when it comes to engagement tips for before the event is just being really open to other ideas and responding to guests. You are definitely hosting the event, but if Rebecca or Rin tell me, hey, I think it'd be really great if we did this, I mean, I should definitely take it into consideration. They're my guests. They want it to be the best experience for them as well as for the other guests. So definitely take that into consideration. Doesn't have to be incorporated, of course, but if it's something that could help, definitely be open to that idea. And then just sending reminders before the event actually starts, maybe an email the day before, reminding your guests of the times and activities, trying to build up that excitement, making sure that people actually show up. You might have 20 people RSVP and then 15 show up because some of them forgot about it. You never know. It's really good to always send that reminder. I also have did you want to address the Jamboard at all, or just keep on going to during the event?
I don't know. Do folks want to have some brainstorm? We have a few minutes if you want to do some event title brainstorming. If there's words that you've seen, I know somebody mentioned just informationally COVID policies, and I wrote down that location and title, like the idea, like Colorado mountains might entice me. Although I guess if I already live in Colorado, maybe I'm less awed by them, but I think, waterfront or something like that is also good. That's a more thing. Thanks, Karan. Yeah, there are others. Name of the holiday that the event's associated with. Great. Right, to be clear, like this is a Sukkot, this is a Rosh Hashanah, this is a Yom Kippur, right? It helps sort of set expectations. Free, a lot of people's favorite words. And yeah, definitely do it with the lol too. I find that that's extremely effective. I appreciate the humor in that one. Other words, are there events that you've seen I know I don't know if other people have this. I live near New York City, and they do it now here in Jersey City where I am too. This like dinner and blanc, right? It's an all white dress code, special invited, right? So like it's setting it up as something special and different. I like the invited guests. That's even more fun if it's a Sukkot event and you're having, an ushpizin, an invited ancestors tradition, everybody friendly. Or is it, is kids welcome? Is it intergenerational, right? So again, setting those expectations with the title. Honey cake after services.
I'm going.
Another, almost as good as free. I love that. These are great. Again,
And I definitely think about other ways, even if you have any title ideas, throw them in here, because yes, maybe, you don't want to share that title idea because someone else might take it. But at the same time, we're all trying to help each other out, because these are different events that are going on that maybe you have a title idea for one holiday and they want to use it for a different one. So anything that you have, definitely throw it in here. I think all these are really great. I'm going to continue with
Great.
during the event.
Yep, go ahead.
Yep. So
I'll share
during
that.
the event, we want to have other ways for engagement is definitely having conversation starters. You do not want to have yes, no questions, everything open-ended. Reason being for that is, especially if it's a room of people that aren't the most familiar. I know a lot of people are going to do things with family or friends, but there might be events that you're trying to invite, other people that you might not have worked with in the past or know that well. Having those open-ended questions just really helps lead to more conversation. Again, if it is people that you do not know, this is not necessary, of course, but name tags or having everyone introduce themselves if there's not too many people, I think is great, because again, it just gets more people comfortable. If I just started talking here and not introduce myself, everyone here would be confused, be like, who is this person? So sometimes having that name tag or introduction is great. And then depending on the holiday, of course, making it fun or meaningful, providing some type of maybe gamification if it is appropriate towards the type of holiday. So you really want to see other ways to kind of get your guests engaged. So that could be a game if it works, or just opening up the floor for conversation, talking about traditions or about kind of discourse around that holiday, maybe prayer, whatever it might be, just so that you can kind of have certain things going on during that event that isn't just dinner or isn't just, doing one thing, pretty much having multiple things to kind of keep people engaged throughout the event. And then after the event, sending out thank you emails, just if you're hosting another event, if you're planning on doing multiple holidays, that is the perfect time to say, thank you so much for, showing up to this event. I'm actually planning an event for this holiday in 2 weeks. We would love if you could actually RSVP to that. And then if you wanted to as well, if it is for more of an organization, maybe having surveys sent out as well with that email, just so you can kind of get feedback on that, how that event actually went. That's pretty much everything I have here with engagement. And I know that I'm going to kind of share all this with Rebecca, and I think she's going to kind of put it out into a blog post at some point. So you'll definitely get all this. Send it over to you again.
Thank you. Yeah. So like Johnny said, so the way that we share recordings of our webinars with all of the Haggadot.com and iHolidays at Home is we'll send you a link. Everybody who registers will get a link to a blog post on our site. And in that blog post will be a video, the recording, and then any other kind of resources. So we'll have a link to the Jamboard in there. And then also have these notes that Johnny shared with me in advance. So we'll type those up and put those in there so that they're readily available for everybody too. We have some time for Q&A. I'm going to answer. And the other thing I forgot to say. Oh, wait, you know what? I forgot 2 things. My bad. So I wanted to give us just a few minutes to also brainstorm back in the Jamboard. I'm curious what kinds of events folks are hosting actually, before we get into Q&A. Can folks see the Jamboard again? Yes, great. I'm curious, these were just some ideas that I had. I know Denise also had mentioned Tashlich. That's a personal favorite gathering. Are there other ways that people are thinking of coming together, whether on Zoom or in person? What kind of events folks are hosting. And again, you can put these in here. I think what's great, the site is a really wonderful way of complementing, especially I know most folks here are not from synagogues, but those who are from congregational settings, you know, these things can be really good complements to, you know, I think a 3-hour synagogue service is an incredibly powerful experience. And there are other things that I think some folks may feel more comfortable with this year. A networking and learning retreat, I love that. We thought a lot about outdoor things, especially, you know, I think we're still in a space of hybrid, a sukkah build. I'll throw that into there. And you can put it into the Jamboard. Oh, an art making workshop. I have a feeling I know who put that there because I'm debating going to one. A hike and pray. Ooh, who put the hike and pray? Do you want to come off mute? Zmira, tell us what you do at a hike and pray.
We have a congregant that led a shacharit service while hiking in the woods.
Oh,
And we would walk for a while and look at the wildlife and the flora and fauna, and then stop somewhere and do a prayer or a chant, and then hike a little more. And it was beautiful, and I would love to see us do that more.
I love that. I love that. It's definitely, you know, reconnecting with so much of our ancestral history as an agrarian and people who lived outside, especially with things like Sukkot. I love these, a class for learning Mishnah about Teshuvah, musical jam session. These are great. So this again will remain available for folks as we continue to go through the high holiday season. So you can feel free to come back to it at any time. And now I'm going to throw it over to questions. So I know, Hannah, you had the question about linking. So I'm going to share my screen real quick, and I'm going to pick on my colleague, Samantha Zellman, who's here from Shomer Collective, because I know this is an event that Shomer posted on our site, partly because, and I will say, we expect anywhere from 50 to 75,000 people to come visit the site this high holiday season. And we have a mailing list of about 100,000 people, and they will get notices just to come visit the event site too. So I think I look at this as just another marketing channel for these types of events, especially the ones that are happening offline. So if you see here, they have in their event details a link. It says, you know, to register on this Zoom page to get the Zoom link for the program, because they want to make sure that folks are doing that. So that's also, if your program has, we are not able to process money on here. So also, if you're asking people, I think this is Reboot also has this event. I'm not sure. I think there's a possible second step. Yeah, so it says here again, like you must RSVP here to attend. There's a waiver involved. This is an outside thing at a beach. I get it. You know, slightly more perilous potentially than sitting at home on your Zooms. So makes a lot of sense. So they're going to have this, which sounds, I will admit, I'm sad I won't be able to go to this thing in San Francisco. It sounds very cool. But if anybody finds himself in San Francisco, this looks like a really fun way to celebrate Tashlich. And so I think, again, like, I think it can be just like a great resource and way to connect with folks. Yeah, other questions? Samantha, I'm jealous. You have to tell me about it sometime.
I wanted to ask if you have any, if you're able to track any data on like how many people visit, you know, how much traffic a page or a resource gets. Just to kind of, you know, it's like for, at least for us at Hadar, we have not used this before and we're excited to, and this could be something that we continue doing. But, you know, it's sort of like, we have no idea of like how many people are seeing this, how many people are using it. And that's something that would be really interesting for us to know.
Yeah, we have pretty good Google Analytics on our entire site, and that is across all of our brands. So yes, so if there is like a specific resource, I recommend, for us, it's easiest if you give I would say, don't just label something candle lighting blessing, because then it's hard to figure out which one is the Hadar candle lighting blessing and which one is the National Library of Israel candle lighting blessing, right? Like, so if you name it something that's a little bit more unique, if it's a clip or a booklet, if it's like Hadar New Year's Shabbat or Hadar Rosh Hashanah study guide, it's super easy for us to pull that up in our analytics, and we can report those to you after the holiday. And you'll be able, with the event, everybody who RSVPs, you are able to manage that as the event host. You'll get on your dashboard, you'll see your events, and you can see how many people are signed up for it, and you can message your guests if you want to send them that reminder like Johnny was mentioning. The platform makes it really easy to do that. I'll say we just sent out an email today promoting our upcoming webinars, but the other events, is the event site in general. We are already getting RSVPs. Like, it's actually really, really cool. That it's like, oh, it's working. It's so exciting. So it's great. I'm going to pause on questions for 1 second because I want to make sure that we have enough time to hear from Danny. So I'm going to spotlight you, I think we'll do. And yeah, I'll just read a quick bio. Danny Kohanzadeh works on the field and partnerships team at One Table. After graduating from Columbia University and the Jewish Theological Seminary, she returned home to Los Angeles, I can't blame her, and was part of One Table's LA launch in 2017. And Danny spends most of her time looking forward to Shabbat, eating good food with good friends.
Thank you, Rebecca. Hi, it's nice to meet all of you virtually. I hope that one day I'll get the chance to meet some of you in person. It's very exciting to hear about what many of you have planned. And I was asked, I don't know if like the prompt of what I'm speaking on was shared already or not, but I was asked to share a little bit about what inspires me to host, what brings me into the hosting role. At least that's what I'll be speaking on. So it was really actually very fun to think about this question because I've been in the role at One Table for a number of years, and it's been a long time since I really started to think about the beginning of when I became a host myself. And I'll tell a little bit about the childhood home that I grew up in and kind of how that brought me to where I am now. But Passover and Rosh Hashanah second night seders were always a really big thing for my parents. For as long as I can remember, I need to rely on 50 minimum guests gathering at long U-shaped, L-shaped, H-shaped tables in my parents' living room or yard, at least those 2 nights of the year. And the days preparing for these gatherings were always filled with big shopping runs and to-do lists for both of my parents, many hours of cooking and cleaning and last minute phone calls to random family members or friends that my parents heard hadn't made plans for the holiday already. Yes, both Rosh Hashanah and Passover, they look very similar. And so the days leading up were always actually, the day of was always the most exciting, and the days leading up always felt like a preparation for the preparation. And I don't know exactly what it is. It's not so obvious to me even now as an adult, but the hustle and bustle of the day of was always very exciting for me. Even as an 8 or 9-year-old, I remember waking up to like random people helping my parents set up for their gathering. And it was always a big deal. And the busy day of prep always flowed into a really special evening of 15 first cousins, 27 second cousins, dozens of aunts and uncles in my parents' home around a beautiful and elaborate meal. It might sound like how I'm answering the question has to do with the gathering that my parents hosted, the fact that my parents hosted these big extravagant gatherings year after year. It made me grow up and appreciate them so much. And that's why I host. And I do appreciate them, but these gatherings were actually a really big reason for my inability to take on the hosting role. The stress or anxiety I actually felt when I first began thinking, okay, well, what will I do in my own home when I grow up as an adult? And I love my big, loud family, and I love getting to see them all together at least twice a year. But the fact that my parents are consummate hosts was actually a very big challenge for my own hosting. And I had been given the gift of watching them host these warm, generous gatherings, but it wasn't something I had been prepared to do myself. And by the time I was leaving home for college, the standards of gathering around the table were pretty high. When I joined the team at One Table, I began playing the role of coach and mentor. I was the LA field manager, and I began playing that role to hundreds of LA young adults as they set out to try something new with Shabbat dinner. So either to host or to guest or something like that. Many were hosting for the first time, and I began to see how deeply transformative the role of host could be for them. At One Table, we use the word user journey to talk about the tech experience. I think right before the part that Johnny just showed you of posting dinners to our platform. And there's also a different sort of journey that we get to watch many of our users go through, from the moment of deciding they want to try something new on a Friday night and getting their feet wet with new rituals or hosting practices or whatever it is that draws them to Shabbat dinner. And as I dove into my own role of field manager, I began meeting community members who had applied to host without having attended or celebrated Shabbat before. And these users were coming from a place of curiosity with a small inkling of a feeling. And those hosts were the biggest source of inspiration for me to take my own kind of leap into hosting with confidence. For many, it was a practice where they were just trying something new. And while I grew up with a Shabbat and Jewish holiday practice in my own home, hosting was also something new for me. I began to release the association of hosting with my parents' very special, very elaborate practice, well thought out, seamless form of gathering to something that felt more personal, more experimental. And it felt like permission for me, getting to know our users and the journey that they were going on to get to try something new for myself. The last thing I'll just share is, as I've kind of stretched and grown in my own role of host over the years since starting working at One Table, I see a bit more each time that I do host how different my hosting is from my parents. So in small tactical ways, like I'm a bit more adventurous with the menu. I actually like try making new things, and sometimes it's awesome, and sometimes, the lasagna has not set and sucks for my guests, but it's fun to try. Or even like how my husband and I play different roles each time we anticipate guests gathering in our home. We haven't actually decided who does what exactly. We try different things out. We learn new things each time. And like I said, it's always a little bit more experimental than my mom flowing through her checklist, my dad flowing through his. And I think that there's a lot more freedom in my own hosting. I see my role of host, like I said, as a mini experiment. And while I haven't hosted Passover or Rosh Hashanah myself, I like guesting my parents too much, and I don't want to take those two holidays on yet. But when the time does come and I take on, I hope I get to take on that role, and I'll take it on with pride and with nostalgia and with a memory of the many, many times we gathered in their living room. But I'm certain that gathering in my home will look totally, entirely, absolutely different from theirs. Thank you.
Thanks, Danny. And if people want to message you or anything, can we put your name? Great, we'll put Danny's email in the chat. And I'm gonna throw it back to Rin to close us out.
Thanks, Rebecca. And thank you so much, Danny. Would be great to, to chat more with you sometime. Would love that. I'd love to thank everyone for joining, and to the One Table team, thank you so much for sharing your time and wisdom with our community today. You can find all of our upcoming webinars and events at highholidaysathome.com/events, which I've just put in the chat. And as a closing little ritual, I would love to do this, which is sort of almost like a team building exercise. This ritual is just, let's all put our hands towards our cameras like this, and we're going to count down from 3, or up to 3, I guess, and say Shana Tova. Ready? 1,
1, 2.
3.
Shana
Shana
Tova.
Tova.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you, Rin. Happy New Year. And I put also our email in the chat in case you have any other questions. And we can't wait to see you soon. Thank you.